Pouring out for a hero to the morning light.
Hello, will someone let me out? What's up, party people, and welcome back to my channel. So today we're testing out some new makeup from the drugstore. I've got the NYX Bare With Me Blur Skin Tint. I've got a couple of new eyeshadow palettes. I'm not sure what I'm going to try yet. I've got the Luminous Putty Bronzer, the viral Milani Conceal and Perfect Blur Out Powder, and just a few other little odds and ends and knickknacks and paddywhacks. So let's try it out. Let's try the TikTok thing where they put their hair back with a headband. That looks stupid. So I'm gonna prime my eyes with the Ulta Beauty Matte Eye Primer in the shade Nude. This is my favorite one right now. And then CoverGirl released these little 4-pan palettes, which are actually a pretty good size to be 4 pans, which I appreciate because you can get your brush into each one a lot better than like a smaller one. So these are the Clean Fresh Clean Color eyeshadows. Here's what Golden Toffee looks like. So yeah, really nice, like neutral, everyday kind of palette. You've got a couple of shimmers, a couple of mattes, and then this one is shimmering beige. So this one's a little bit more toned down, a little more muted. Let me do some swatches first. Let's first swatch the shimmering beige. Yeah, I think I can make that work. And then here is Golden Toffee. So these are a little bit more vivid because they are darker, so that's kind of how it's going to be. They feel like a high-end palette. I mean, they don't feel, you know, like flaky or, you know, there's not a lot of fallout or anything. Like I feel like they're pressed in here pretty good. I'm just going to dip into both of them. So let's go into the lighter one first. So shimmering beige is the lighter one. Let's take this light tan, put that in my crease. Ooh, wow. That is effortless, like surprisingly effortless. So now I'm gonna go into the darker palette, Golden Toffee. I'm gonna take this mid-tone tan shade. Actually, it may be the exact same shade I just used. Here's the bottom shade, that's the one I just used. Okay, I think that's pretty much the exact same shade as the other one. Blend is amazing though. Like, I'm really impressed with the blend. Oh, I love this by itself. Like I just want some mascara and I just want to go. I'm gonna go back into the lighter palette, Shimmering Beige. Just know the lighter palette is called Shimmering Beige. I'm gonna take this taupey shade, this light grayish taupey shade, but let's just pat this onto my eyelid. Ooh. I'm a little shocked by that. I feel compelled to mention that I'm not paid, I'm not sponsored, I'm not a salesperson for anything mentioned today or in most videos. But there's what that shade looks like. It looked kind of like it wouldn't be my cup of tea in the pan, but that's a very, very pretty shade paired with that tan shade. So now I'm gonna go into that lighter shade in the Shimmering Beige palette. I'm just gonna take this on my pinky and see, there's what that looks like. I'm just gonna put this in my inner corner. I said that I was gonna use both palettes, but I'm probably gonna mainly focus on this one because I'm really digging it. Going into the darker palette, I'm gonna take this dark brown and use that to line my eyes. Fun fact, I don't like to use eyeliner anymore. I pretty much just use darker eyeshadows for my eyeliner and just smudge them out. That's just, I think that looks better than most eyeliners, to be honest. I usually like to have a slightly darker dark brown for my eyeliner, but it is what it is. We working with it. And then I just like to do a little tiny flick right here. Not a wing, just a little flick. I guess it's kind of a wing, but it's a very subtle wing. Just to elongate the eyes, kind of give more of that uplifted effect. And just to have like an ending point for the eyeliner because it's really hard to just stop abruptly anymore. Like I feel like we all used to apply eyeliner like that. Like we would just stop right there at the edge of the eye and then you'd have this big blunt blob of eyeliner that had nowhere to go. So doing a slight flick like this just kind of gives you somewhere to end it, you know, to fade it into the skin. I did have to dip in quite a bit to build it up, so it's not the most intense and pigmented for this purpose, but I'd say it would work really well for like outer V deepening and, you know, for the actual eyelid, but yeah, I love this so far. I'm moving into mascara now. So again, this is the Milani Highly Rated Extension Mascara, which I believe this is a tubing mascara. Yes, it's lash extending tubing technology. With tubing mascaras, they're a little bit different than other mascaras in that they kind of form like a tube around the lashes, which makes them really long lasting. They're kind of rare to find, honestly. But I've seen a lot of people compare this to the Thrive tubing mascara, which is like $25, $28. Yeah, here's what it looks like. Very pretty packaging. But here's what the wand looks like. So it's a nice cone shape. Let's see what it does. Okay, so there's the first layer. I'm kind of worried to build this up because it seems like one of those formulas that is really wet, and the more you build it, it may get clumpy and not look very good. But there's what that looks like. So I'm gonna do 2 layers on this side and then do the one on this side and see what 1 versus 2 looks like. It's a pretty messy formula right now. Like it's really wet, so it's getting all over my eyelid. I definitely see the tendency of it just looking a little bit clumpy as I layer it. So yeah, it's very black though. I'm gonna be very careful with this. I'm gonna really try to pull it through the lashes so that I can avoid clumps, hopefully. So there are 2 coats. So really dramatic. Like I do see this having potential to be really good. I just feel like it's one of those that needs to dry out for a week or 2 before it gets like the peak of goodness. So let's do 1 coat on this side. Ooh, Ooh, I can feel it. I can feel the dampness of my eyelashes right now. Alrighty, I feel like I'm close to being in disaster area, but there's one layer versus two. This side does look a lot bigger, bolder, blacker, some more volume and length and whatnot, but I will say that even on this one with just one layer, I can see the lashes like clumping together. Like each lash is kind of like molding into one. You can see through the lashes, like you can see my eyelid. Let me read the claims on the back. That would probably be nice to know. So it says flake-free tubing mascara for instantly longer and lifted lashes, 16-hour clump-proof, smudge-proof wear, effortlessly removes with just warm water. I forgot, that is a claim of tubing mascaras. They just remove with warm water. So I let the first layer on this side dry a little bit before I went into a second coat. And I feel like I went into a second coat on this side faster, but it seems like this side is layering a little bit better. Like it's not looking as clumpy. I guess I'm just gonna go ahead and take my middle lash comb and just, you know, kind of push through these a little bit. Ugh. Wow, these are sticky. I feel like I'm pulling out the tubes when I do this. Okay, that helped a little bit. I'm going to put my sunscreen on, which I should have already done so that I could prepare for my foundation. So that sucks. Now I gotta wait for this to dry. By the way, I'm using the Bondi Sands Daily Moisturizing Face SPF 50 in case you're curious. It's from Amazon. I will say the sunscreen smells like a helium balloon after you bust it. It's a little off-putting. All right, moving on to the NYX Bare With Me Blur Skin Tint Foundation. This is $14 on the Ulta website, and they have 24 shades. So it says the skin tint provides 12 hours of hydration and up to 16 hours of wear. Formulated with skin loving ingredients, glycerin, matcha, and niacinamide. This lightweight slip texture foundation will leave your skin looking blurred and healthy. Breathable, fade, transfer resistant. Also on the back it says medium coverage. I am what I now consider to be like normal skin. Sometimes I'm dehydrated, but I'm mostly normal. And I am gonna go ahead and shake these up really well. I got vanilla and light neutral. Starting with the lightest one, number 4, light neutral. We'll put light neutral right here, and I also want to see if it oxidizes. So there is light neutral. Okay, so this one's a tad bit more yellow, whereas light neutral looks like it's kind of like a peachy, orangey, warm undertone. So there is vanilla and there's light neutral. So been a few minutes now and I don't really see a lot of oxidation, so good on that front. So I'm gonna go ahead and go into vanilla. I'm just gonna go ahead and start back here where I have the most to cover up, and I'm gonna try to mostly stipple it. I actually got pretty decent coverage so far. I wasn't really expecting that. I've got a lot to cover up back here as I normally do, and it's covering it pretty well. Will say though, once it's blended out, it does look a lot lighter on my skin, so this isn't really a good match. I may have to go into light neutral on the other side, at least just to see. I will say though, it is kind of streaking a little bit. It could just be this brush, but I will say I chose this brush because it's so soft and normally I don't get bristle strokes and stuff. Look at that shade difference. Yeah, it is kind of sitting on the surface of my skin a little bit in some areas, but I think I'm gonna go into a sponge and kind of press it down later. But actually, I'm just gonna kind of like stipple some more and really press it down. It may just be because my brush is clean. Sometimes that happens. All right, so there is one layer of Pasty McGasty. So let's try light neutral on this side. Just not looking as peachy and orange so far. I actually think this one might be a better match than vanilla. It doesn't look too bad, but I will say I'm still seeing that problem where it's just not, like it looks kind of cakey, or not really cakey, it just looks makeup-y. I don't know, it's just not, like I could definitely see this emphasizing pores and stuff basically. Yeah, it is like a nice soft matte finish. It's not too matte to where it's drying or anything though. It feels really lightweight so far. I'm excited. I'm just gonna go ahead and say 2 o'clock for my check-in time just to make it easy to remember. So moving on to the Makeup Revolution IRL Filter Finish Concealer. This is $7 at Ulta. They have 16 shades and I got the shade C3. So it says it has an easy to use precision flat tip applicator, which I did not expect this. This is very unique. Not that the applicator really makes a difference in terms of what a concealer can do, because this is literally just applying it. I just think, you know, it's just a different take on it, that's fine. It's full coverage, breathable and lightweight, blends effortlessly, 16-hour wear, soft matte finish, oil-free, crease-proof, sweat-proof, waterproof, and cruelty-free. I didn't think I liked that shade when I first put it down because it looked kind of peachy, but once it's blended on, it seems to work out pretty well. So that's pretty full coverage right out the gate. So I'm trying to figure out if I want to go into a second layer for that, because I don't really feel like I need to, but I also want to see how it layers up in case you can't get full coverage right out the gate if you're someone that has like really prominent dark circles. I'm not sure if I like that mascara because it kind of got a little bit of transfer on my lower lashes and now it's kind of flaking a little bit, like the tubes are flaking off, so I'm not sure about it. Once again, just bouncing it out. I'm not going to let the first layer dry or anything. I'm just going to go straight into a second layer. Kind of bring it out a little bit to clean up the eye. Okay, I'll consider that to be a pretty full coverage concealer. I mean, it blended out really well. It just sank right in. Yeah, aside from the mascara tubes flaking down my eyes, so far so good. Moving on to the e.l.f. Luminous Putty Bronzers now. These are $7 at Ulta. This is Day Trip and this is Summer Fridays. So here's Day Trip and here's Summer Fridays. They don't look that much different. The one on the bottom is Day Trip and then this one is Summer Fridays. So maybe a slight difference in shade, but very, very close. So let's start off with Summer Fridays on this side. I won't be honest, I do think the e.l.f. putty formula is pretty good, but it's one that I really never reach for. Like the putty bronzer and the putty blush, they're fine. I do think they hold up pretty well, but they're not the absolute best cream formula in the world. And I feel like, you know, TikTok and, you know, YouTube and e.l.f. being in everyone's pockets is kind of made it out to be like they're better than what they really are, in my opinion. That's just me though. Let me know what you think. Do you think the e.l.f. putty formula is overrated, overhyped, or do you think it's actually worth all of it? So there's what Summer Fridays is looking like. So I do think the finish is nice, but the thing that I don't like, or that I would prefer to be different about the putty formula, is that it's just very like sheer. It's very buildable, and I like a buildable formula for cheap products, but at the same time, I don't want to have to dip in and build it up and, you know, apply it for 5 minutes on each side. You know, like I want a good amount of pigmentation, not too much, but this is just a little bit too sheer for my personal preference. I'm gonna wipe off the excess of my brush and go into Day Trip. Actually, which one of these is lighter? Which one's supposed to be darker? Okay, so Day Trip, which is the one on this side, is supposed to be for light to medium skin tones, and then Summer Fridays is supposed to be for fair to light skin tones. So that may have been why I was having to build this up so much, because it is like a lighter bronzer. So Day Trip and Summer Fridays. I think I do like Summer Fridays, like the undertone, better. It's just a tad bit more neutral, but this one built up better because it's supposed to be for darker skin tones, or like light to medium skin tones, which is what I would consider myself to be. So yeah, it's not bad. I'll just stick to creams just to kind of keep that theme going. So I'm just gonna go into the AOA Studio Hush Cream Sheer Blush in the shade Cupid. I'm gonna go into the AOA Studio Lumi Radiant Blush in the shade Delicate Pink. I used this yesterday again, and just like, oh, it's so pretty. So I'm just gonna put this up here on top of that cream blush. This isn't new, I'm just showing you what I'm using in case you're curious. And then yesterday I put this one on top and love the combination. So this is the Catrice More Than Glow Highlighter in the shade Supreme Rose Beam. Just kind of adding this in like a little extra fun, kind of showing you what I'm doing. So bada boom, bada bang. So the next thing I have is this Milani Conceal and Perfect Blur Out Powder. But something that everyone's realizing is that this isn't a setting powder. Apparently this is supposed to be used at the very last step, like after setting powder. Put your setting powder on, set the way you like, and then kind of like dust this over your face, and it's supposed to make your skin look really smooth, very blurred. I recently learned that there is, in fact, a difference between a setting powder and a finishing powder, which, you know, sometimes we see setting powders in the name of a product, and sometimes we see finishing powders, and then sometimes we don't. So I'm still kind of researching and trying to figure out, you know, if it doesn't explicitly say a setting powder or a finishing powder, how do you know? Like, what do you look for in the ingredients? It says weightless, ultra finely milled powder, transparent universal shade designed to flatter all skin tones, preserve the radiant effects of cream products with ultra finely milled powder, blurs imperfections, a luminous matte soft focus filter like effect. Ooh, these keywords are just, they're just checking off all the boxes. Made in Italy, formulated without talc. Okay, so it's one of those that has like the little net. Like I know a lot of expensive powders used to have this back in the day. Like I would see this all the time on, like it was, who was it? It was brands on QVC and stuff. Like you would see them dust into this and it was like, ooh, that was fancy schmancy. Lightly dust a thin layer across skin. Blur Out Powder can be used as a final step in your complexion routine after creaming liquid products for a diffused airbrush look. I think just for the sake of reviewing it for the first time, I just want to use this by itself, like no setting powder underneath. And it may work better, you know, like I said, doing the setting powder first and then this last, like kind of dusting it over. But I just want to see how it wears by itself. Let's just do this side first and just kind of dust this over my T-zone. I don't want to do too much powder because this is a soft matte finish foundation and I don't want to look too drying and too powdery. So I'm going to do a light dusting right there. Okay, so I'm kind of seeing what I've seen other people say, which is if you use a finishing powder, if you use it by itself with no setting powder underneath, it can kind of darken your foundation and stuff. But it definitely does blur and mattify the skin. You can see, well, you may not be able to see. Let me zoom you guys in. So this side looks a lot more pore filled, a lot more blurred, very soft focus, but it does look a tad bit darker. So yeah, there's that, but it does look really nice and smooth. I will say my forehead though, ooh, my forehead's looking a little patchy, or like it's settling. The foundation is just kind of separating and looking not very good. But I gotta go pick up my kids. So I'll come back later on and show you guys the rest of the products. I've only got, you know, maybe like 2 products left, so it's not too much, but we're just gonna say 2 o'clock for my check-in time to pay attention to how the foundation and the concealer wear. Yeah, I'll see you guys later. Alrighty, I'm back. It is now 5:30. Not that this is a check-in, just kind of wanted to give you an update on how everything's wearing after 3 hours. So let's continue with the other new stuff. I have this Makeup Revolution IRL Filter Finish Lip Definer. This is $5 and there are 7 shades. I got the shade Chai Nude, and on the website it looks like it's pretty dark. Like it looks like it's a deeper plummy kind of mauve shade, but this is what it looks like in real life. So it's a very, very light pink. I don't see this being something that would work for a lot of people, especially those like me that have pretty pigmented lips starting out. So I'm just gonna go ahead and take my sponge and just bounce over my lips to try to cancel out the pigment as much as possible, because that is like super disappointing. So let's try it. Ooh, my nose. My nose looks like I've got a sunburn and it's like flaking off. It's a very creamy, pigmented, glidey kind of formula. So it's not that the formula's bad or it's not as of application. It's just, look at this. Like, it gets like 50 demerits for deceiving swatches online. It's like freaking strawberry milk. What the hell is this? So I'm gonna take this off and put on a darker lipstick because this isn't gonna work with anything. Moving on to the next ones. I've got the Revlon Color Stay Suede Ink lipsticks, and there are, how many shades are there? 2, 4, 5, 16 shades. So it says 8-hour wear, no transfer formula, stays where it belongs, powerful pigment blend delivers opaque, matte color in one coat, built-in dual function primer extends wear and prevents transfer for a long-lasting smudge-proof finish, infused with antioxidant vitamin E to help condition and protect and nourish the lips. First up is Hot Girl, which is a really pretty warm brick mauve-y kind of color. And then we have No Rules, and honestly these are pretty similar. Like, I don't feel like you would need both of these. This one may be a tad bit darker, but not like literally by hair. And this last one is Gut Instinct. So that one's a little bit lighter. All right, so there is Hot Girl. So I do want to give you a little bit of information with each one about the lipsticks as a whole, just so you can see something. And I'm gonna show you how it wears, okay? Just give me a second. But as you can see, these are a flat matte finish. There's no sheen whatsoever, no shimmer. So if you're someone like me, I'm sure you've already figured it out by now, but if you have small or thin lips, matte lipsticks just really emphasize that. But it's a very smooth looking finish. Like, it's one of those that it looks like you've like photoshopped your lips in a picture or something. Like, you know how they look really smooth and lineless? Like, it doesn't look real. Now watch this. Okay, I'm gonna take a baby wipe. It's wet, and let me show you what it does. Okay, so I'm getting color payoff on the baby wipe as I'm wiping it, but as you can see, it's staining my lips. I've been scrubbing at it for like a good minute now, and there's still a really pretty stain left behind. I'll take my sponge again and try to cancel out that color. Okay, now going into No Rules. And this is the one that's similar to Hot Girl. And obviously I'm not using a lip liner with each of these, so my lips do look smaller than they would if I had a lip liner, but yeah, there is No Rules. So as you can see, it's pretty much almost the exact same color as the other one. I feel like there's a lot of like a red undertone in Hot Girl. I personally like this one better than Hot Girl. But you can see as I'm applying it, they're very, very pigmented. There is some grip to them to where as you're applying it, you can feel the stiffness to it. Okay, watch this. Yeah, it's pretty transfer proof. And last but not least, we have Gut Instinct. So I think this is my favorite one because it's a little bit more wearable. It's one of those shades that seems to look good with pretty much every eyeshadow look, so it's very universal. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and apply a lip liner around this and just kind of hopefully give myself some plump. The only problem I see with these is that it's kind of hard to find a lip liner to go with these because they're so opaque that there's nothing really dark enough and pigmented enough to work with it. We'll go with this one. This is from ColourPop. This is their lippy pencil in the shade Hoopty. It's probably not available because they discontinue everything nowadays, but we're gonna try it. It looks like a plummy brown. Okay, there's my lip liner. Not my best work. I will say, as we're comparing it to a liquid lipstick, I also see some butthole-esque qualities to it. Yeah, it starts kind of crackling and settling into the inner rim of my lip. Kind of flakes off the exact way a liquid lipstick does over time. But I do think for special occasions or for situations where you just need your lipsticks to last without having to touch up all the time, I do think these would come in handy. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So I think the only thing to do now is just wear it and then come back later on tonight and show you guys how it wore. Actually, you know what? I should probably apply some setting spray too because I always do that. Let's go into my trusty Thank Me Later Glitter Setting Spray from Elizabeth Mott. Maybe too late for this, but we'll see.
Alright guys, final checkout time. It is now 10:50 at night, so our check-in time was 2 o'clock, meaning we were about to approach the 9-hour mark. The Covergirl Clean Fresh Eyeshadow palettes. I am very impressed with these, way more than I thought I was going to be. They blend in really well. They look very, very high quality, so that's a go for me. The Milani Tubing Mascara. Just look very clumpy. They're not separated. They're just really just molded together, and they really are coming off as tubes. Like there's been tubes and flakage all over my face today. So what I may do is come back in my next new drugstore makeup video and just give you like an update review, like not try it on or anything, but just kind of pull it out and say, yeah, here's my update, blah, blah, blah. So at this point it's a no, but I'm holding out for a hero. I'm holding out for a hero till the morning light.
Something I want to do is take my wet makeup remover washcloth. This, I'm not going to use cleansing oils or anything like that, but yeah, one of the claims of tubing mascaras is that you can remove them easily with just warm water. I'm not going to go in there, like take the camera in there in the bathroom with me and try it with just sink water, so that's why I've got one of these. So I'm just going to let this sit on my eye for a second and see if the mascara melts. Can I kind of rub a little bit? I'm not rubbing my actual skin, I'm just rubbing up my lashes. So yeah, it completely comes off in clumps like that. So let's see. Okay, kind of messy, but it mostly comes off the warm water, so I would say that's a true claim. Again, I still don't recommend doing this with nothing, like no cleansing oil whatsoever, especially if you have a full face of makeup on like I do. But I mean, it's an option if you're in a pinch. Also, if you don't have these washcloths, these, I guess it's like microfiber or something, you need the Voluminous Putty Bronzers. Here's the thing, where I'm testing these, I'm also testing a new foundation. Like the base really determines how a cheap product can wear. So, you know, if your foundation doesn't wear very well, then your cheap products may not wear very well either. So I don't know if I don't know, like the lack of opacity that's, you know, still holding up on my skin right now is due to the longevity of this just not being very great, or if the foundation that's underneath it just doesn't have the best longevity and grip onto cheek products. I'm going to keep using them, obviously. I want to try them with other foundations and stuff, but at this point, I just don't really think they're anything special. The Revlon Color Stay Suede Ink Lipsticks. There's pros and cons to it. Pros, it's definitely long lasting. Like this is, like I said, one of the most long lasting lipstick formulas. If you're someone that's in need of a really, really long wearing lipstick and you don't care if it's matte, like you're not someone that has super dry lips, like you like that effect, like if you're someone that used to wear liquid lipsticks and you liked it, then I think you would like this. It's kiss proof, transfer proof, I think it would be mask proof, all the good stuff. The problem with that goes into my cons now, is that if you mess up, okay, if you get it a little bit out here on your skin, if you're wearing lip gloss and your hair flies in your mouth and then drags your lipstick across your face, then you're going to get stains. It's going to be hard to get that off. Like I've had this problem before. Like today's not the first day that I've worn these. I have been testing these for a while. Kind of have to scratch it off or you know, rub at it pretty vigorously to actually get it to come off because it's so long wearing. So, you know, longevity is a good and a bad thing. Just kind of depends on how you look at it. I'm kind of in the middle on this one. I'm not really like 100% sold or against it. The Milani Conceal and Perfect Blurring Powder. As I've said, I don't really feel like I've done this justice because I haven't applied it the right way. As I said, you're supposed to apply blurring powders or like finishing powders after setting powders. So not only do I want to try it against other foundations that I know, but I want to apply it with a setting powder underneath and just kind of test the waters with it, because I do think that there's potential with this. It definitely is like an orangey color. Like it definitely has the tendency to oxidize. It does blur, like my skin does look very nice and blurred, but not too mattified to where I look like dry, like suck dry. I'll just give you guys an update on this in the future as well. The Makeup Revolution IRL Filter Finish Concealer. I do like this. Again, I'm trying a new base product on top of another new base product. I do have hope in it. Like I do think it's gonna be pretty good. Here's the thing with the drugstore side of the market. Everything is improving so much that like our standards are getting higher and higher for makeup because we're seeing the possibilities. Like we're seeing how good drugstore makeup can be. It's really easy to just not get wowed anymore because there's so many really, really good things out there. The Makeup Revolution IRL Filter Finish Lip Definer, the lip liner. No. If I had a different shade, it may be a different story because the formula itself seems pretty good. Like it's pretty creamy, it's pigmented, it glided on. Yeah, who can wear this? And last but not least, the foundation. It's now 11:12, so we just hit the 9-hour mark, so let's do it. Very lightweight looking, super natural, very skin-like. Looks like I've got like a tint of moisturizer on at this point. It feels pretty lightweight. There have been a couple spots throughout the day that have felt a tad bit like dry or dehydrated, but it's not bad. Like it's just something I wanted to point out because I
I feel it. I do have some fade off right here on my blemishes under my cheeks, which I had almost full coverage earlier when I first got done applying it. So there's definitely been some fade off, and my cheek products are pretty much like they've faded very, very quickly. The only thing I see left is highlighter, pretty much. As far as my pores go, I do see a little bit of settling and like just patchiness and cakiness and dryness in my T-zone especially. My nose, since I got done applying it, looks like I've had a sunburn and my skin is peeling. But I mean, I'm not wowed by this either.
Hey guys, so it's like 2 or 3 weeks later since I did the original video, but I want to come back and give you guys a longevity update on the NYX Bare With Me foundation. So we are at the 10.5 hour mark today, so I've got the foundation on, no concealer, no setting powder, and just powder bronzers. But I did use some setting spray, I will say that. In terms of wear without powder, I am very impressed with this. I actually prefer the foundation without powder. I'm really impressed with how my cheek products, or my bronzer, I'm really impressed with how my bronzer is worn today. My forehead looks really good. Very, very smooth. It's not sunk into lines. It's not emphasizing lines or anything. Even right in between my eyebrows, my little 11 marks, you usually get sinkage and settling into those, but that's not really happening right now. And again, 10 hours, so that's pretty impressive. But it's one of those foundations that I can't figure out the best way to apply it. Like, I'm not a super fan of it used with a sponge. I'm not a super fan of using a brush. And this morning I applied it with my fingers mostly, and then I went into a sponge later on after it was mostly blended out. And that's probably my preferred method at this point. However, it makes my pores look huge. Not even just my T-zone, like everywhere. No joke, since I applied this morning, I've seen the foundation just sitting, just like cupped into each pore, like, hello, will someone let me out? I mean, it does look kind of like scaly and kind of patchy down through here where I have a lot of texture from the acne and stuff. Yeah, I would probably rate the foundation like a 3 or 4. It's gonna be a no for me.
Winner of today's video is definitely the Covergirl Clean Fresh Eyeshadows. These are amazing.
So if you like testing new drugstore makeup videos, then make sure you give this one a big old thumbs up. Here's a couple more things for you to check out next. So just venture around the channel, make yourself at home. Subscribe if you're not already, and turn the notification bell on to always see my stuff. And I will see you guys in the next one. Mwah.